Hey folks, back with another scale model build. This time it's of a 124 scale Tamiya, or Tamiya as some of you pronounce it. Now as you can see, this isn't a Mopar. It is in fact a Porsche 911 GT2 Club Sport. But I wanted to go over the build process and basically show you the end result. So let's jump right into it. Now this kit comes in two versions. This being the road version, as well as a race version. And as far as I can tell, from the bit of research I've done, there is hardly any difference between the two, with the exception of the decal sublide. This kit came with all the racy bits that I can see comes with the race version, including fire extinguisher and all these other kinds of things. But as I mentioned before, it doesn't come with any of the decals. So if you build this kit box stock, as you can see, it has the roll cage, the large rear spoiler here, as well as the body kit and some other things. But included in this kit, and again, this is the road version, was an addition to the spoiler. Basically comes a little higher, adds on to this one. Some things like fire extinguisher, a floor mount, battery, and some other bits that aren't included in the instructions that come with this version, but clearly are included in the race version. So if you can figure out how it goes just based on pictures, you can build the race version. Now, as you can see, I built mine with some custom decals. These are one-offs. They are not included in the kit, but I did have them. I wanted to do kind of a racy vibe to it, and I think it turned out pretty good. Now, overall, and this goes for any Tamiya kit, the build quality in general is very good. There's no flashing whatsoever. The parts are well engineered. Everything is well thought out. But where the kit lacks is mainly in instructions. The instructions leave a lot to be desired. They come in several different languages. Even the box, as you can see, there's different languages. They're pretty vague, so the best thing to do is test fit your parts, see how it goes together before you commit to gluing them. Now, on this particular kit, the main issues I had were with this rear spoiler and bonnet. As you know, this is a rear engine car, so the spoiler and hood or bonnet are all one. They didn't want to fit in the opening. Just gotta move that there. They didn't want to fit in the opening. They were kind of tight. So that's something you really should test fit and trim as needed. I'm sorry to say I didn't. I assumed that they would fit well, but they didn't. So I kind of paid the repercussions for that. I built mine without the side mirrors. They do have very well rendered side mirrors, but there is, as you can see, there's no slot or no opening or peg for the side mirrors to go into. I was okay with no side mirrors. I had originally intended on adding them, but it looked really clean without them, so I thought I'd just leave them. I was going to do them in this accent orange, but I did put the door handles, and the door handles were really nice because there is two holes where pegs go into, so that was kind of a nice add-on. But basically, overall, a few fitment issues, a little bit of trimming, not a flash, but just trimming in general. But overall, this kit went together very nice. As you can see, it has the provision for steering. Basically, what I did was I didn't glue in the spindles on these control arms, nor did I glue in the tie rod end. It passes through these lower control arms, so it enables you to position the wheels. The kit does make it as such that you can have the wheels roll, but it is very difficult to actually achieve that. Basically, you glue around these little bushings and then push your wheel in. Wasn't perfect. 3 of the 4 wheels roll very smoothly, but the pin attached to this wheel seemed to be smaller than the hole of the bushing, so it kept falling out. I had to actually glue it. But you know, I don't build these for play, so I'm not rolling them around a desk or anything. Other than that, not too bad. I will say with the glass is very well done, but it doesn't leave you a lot of meat or a lot of, you know, surface area around the edge to glue, especially with the front windshield and the back window. You know, if this was a Revell or an AMT kit, this would all be one piece, and you could basically glue it up here. But not the case with Tamiya. There's just a little ridge that you can glue around, so be very mindful of doing that. These kits are not necessarily for the novice. They go together nicely, but they do take a little bit of work to not become absolute glue bombs, just because everything is such a precise fit. At least that's my opinion. I built this really quick. This was basically a 2-3 day build, you know, 3 afternoons. That includes paint. I didn't clean up things as well as I would have liked to have, but overall it turned out pretty good. Rear light, they did not fit in very well at all, as you really can't tell, but they come up a little short on each side. It's almost like that light bar is smaller than the opening, which it happens. But other than that, interior went together very well. It's hard to see, as you can notice, but because it came with both the there we go, the road version and the race version, there was an extra steering wheel, and there were some extra parts. They're not included, as I mentioned earlier, in the instructions. So if you want to use them, you basically have to figure it out yourself. But it's pretty self-explanatory. Goes together nicely. My one complaint about this kit and many other Tamiya kits, it just depends, but this kit, although it does have an engine, there's your top mount, you know, radiator / intercooler or whatever, it's a turbo, there are 2 turbos. It does have an engine. It's not accessible. Like the hood or the bonnet doesn't open, so limited detail, and what little detail it does have gets basically lost or hidden underneath that bonnet. It doesn't open, but you're not missing much. I'd say overall, this is a kit that if you really put the time in, you could build this up and get a really authentic looking build. I got a lot of coats of paint here, and you know, a couple coats of clear. Not the sharpest detail, and again, I didn't do the best job because this is a quick build, but I've seen other guys hone these rivets out and they do a really good job. So it does have the potential. Other than that, the only other problems I had were with this body kit. As you can see, these side skirts glue on. They didn't fit. They were almost too big. Well, they weren't too big, I shouldn't say, but they didn't fit where they were supposed to. There was a long ridge that they clipped over, and it was too long. I had to trim both of them off right here on the body to get it to fit up flush. So basically there's a thin line. If you've ever seen a pinch weld on a rocker panel, kind of the same feeling. And these rocker skirts fit up, and or they were supposed to, but because that thin seam was too long, I had to trim them off on both sides just to kind of get them up there. That was basically the only other issue I had. Other than that, everything went together very smoothly. As you can see, mentioned before, I did a race vibe. I colored out these lights, did the typical track tape on the lenses to kind of simulate what they would do with glass lenses back in the day. But there is headlight buckets, proper headlight buckets, as you can see in the box art. So you could build this many ways. You could do kind of a track beast like I did here, or you could do more of a road going version. You could even tame it down further, get rid of the roll cage, and do more of a absolute street version. These wheels, kind of a simulated BBS wheel, turned out very nice. I detailed them in the orange in the centers, but they do come very well rendered. The chrome or the machined aluminum look, very authentic, so they're good as is. And overall, this is one I build again. Now, on a difficulty scale, you know, 5 being very difficult, 1 being very easy, I give this about maybe a 2. Not necessarily for the novice, especially if you want to really nail the details, because this thing, as I mentioned, it's precise fitment. Sometimes you got to do a little bit of shaving, a little bit of test fitting, but there isn't any flashing whatsoever, and things are properly rendered. If you want to build it very authentic, well, that just depends on your skill level. But if you give this to someone that's built maybe 3 or 4 kits in the past, they could put this together and do a halfway decent job, depending on their ability. This is a kit that I got, thankfully, for next to nothing. I got a 2-for-1. So I normally build muscle cars and stuff like that, but I was basically given this kit, so I couldn't help myself but try my hand at it, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I would build this kit again if you're into Porsches or just want to build a Tamiya kit to see what they go together like. This is an absolute recommend. Great kit to put together. And as you can see, you know, it's not the best job. It was a quick throw together for me, but if you look back at it, that'll look really nice on a shelf. Now, as far as the color, that is a authentic Porsche color. I can't remember the name of the green. It might be like Everglade green or something like that. I don't know. But this green is found in the 95 color charts. And for 95, which is probably what this car is, it's in and around that. Porsche had over 50, I think 55 or 60 different colors. So I just picked this on a whim. I had the idea of doing an accent color right from the get-go. So for me, this was the perfect color combo. I did it in this creamsicle orange accent color. And as I mentioned, it does have mirrors with, mirrored glass that do go with it. I left them off for the race version. I find myself leaving mirrors off a lot of builds, either because they're not well rendered or I'm just worried about them getting broken off. In this case, it was because they didn't necessarily have a home. As I mentioned earlier, there is no cutout for the mirrors, but it looks so good without them, and it was already painted. I thought, you know what, we'll save it. They'll probably get broken off anyway. This is a race car. Race cars don't necessarily need side mirrors. Well, they probably do in real life. So we're gonna do it as is. Well, anyway, on that note, as always, I appreciate you watching my video. And as always, if I get any more model builds on the bench, you'll be the first to check them out. Thanks for watching, folks.